Hi guys, this is Hoff with The Average Guys, and what you're about to listen to is an episode with our very first guest, the landlocked pirate, Dread Captain Stevens. So pull up a chair and snuggle up real close, because it's time to talk about professional wrestling pushes that went nowhere.
What?
Are you there?
I think we lost the captain.
No?
Okay.
I mean, he's still here. It's just it's really hard to hear him.
Ah.
Yeah, I have a headset that kind of sucks.
Well, that's not
I
your
don't
fault.
like holding the phone up to my face.
I don't think anybody likes holding phones up to their face anymore, which is why everyone uses Skype.
Or
Except for
FaceTime.
my old ass.
Face your old ass.
What about the rest of your old body? Just the ass?
Just the ass.
Okay.
Refuses to embrace new technology.
So-
I'm just talking to my watch like a Buck Rogers.
I'm still
Yeah, I mean, I
running
can do that
Windows
too.
XP on a computer, I swear to God.
God damn it. So,
If I had the ability to, I would.
before we start talking about those pushes that went nowhere that 3 people wanted to hear about, I want to get to know our guest. I hope that's okay with the other 3 hosts.
I'll allow it.
No. I guess that's okay.
Why, thank you, Celebrity Deathmatch referee.
Let's get it on. So we have with us today Dread Captain Stevens of CSW, Primo's Pro Wrestling, and pretty much everywhere in Colorado, right? You've pretty much worked with everybody.
I wouldn't say everybody. I would say Primos and CSW were the big deal. Primos is home for me, so.
Primo's is where you were trained, right?
Yes.
Butcher shop. See, I'm not the only person who went there, but also I'm probably the only person who
Extreme
left.
24/7 gem. If you're interested in training, deal with Joe McDougal.
I was there one day, but I was not there to train. I was there as moral support.
So I got to interfere real quick. I got a Twitch question by WrestlingFan68. He wants to know, Captain, how long have you been a professional pirate cosplayer?
Just cosplay?
That is what the question says. He wants to know how long you've been a professional pirate cosplayer.
Huh. Damn, I don't even know how to answer that question.
Well, I guess the real question here is how long have you been dressing like a pirate?
Yeah, pretty much.
I started this whole thing, I think, in
Oh no.
January or February.
Is that when you
January or
debuted?
February. As the pirate, yeah. Before that, I was part of a little stable called the. I don't even know what we were called, but we followed around Alexander the Great,
Well, that's just awesome.
and I was his squire until I was unceremoniously kicked out of the group.
Well, I mean, he is just Alexander the So-So,
Yeah.
I've heard.
Oh my gosh. So what was the origin of the Dread Captain?
And how much inspiration did you get from Paul Burchill?
Actually, honestly, and I'm completely telling the truth here, and I know you guys are going to think I'm lying. I actually didn't even consider Paul Burchill when I came up with the idea.
Well, I mean-
I didn't even consider Pirates of the Caribbean or anything like that. I just figured what would best serve as a counter against a monarch, and everybody was doing Vikings, so.
Oh yeah, because there's the Viking wrestler, the kind of barbarian guy in CSW. I don't remember his name. We met him in the bathroom. It was super awkward.
Yeah, it was really awkward. We saw him in the we met him in the bathroom.
Josie can't get the picture of that man's ass out of his head.
For good reason. I mean, if you saw that ass, you'd agree with me. It is like chiseled out of marble, and I'm gonna need a bathroom break real quick.
Right?
Well, I mean-
I don't blame you, man. That is the ass of an Adonis right there.
It
That's
really
what happens
is.
when you spend all your time plundering. So
Oh, he could definitely plunder me.
He's gonna bend you over your table and bend you to his will. That's what he's gonna do.
I will gladly bend the knee for that one. Oh man,
So as you can tell, our show is not PG.
ooh, it got hot in here.
I was just about to do that R-Truth quote too. Man, I don't even know if that's PG.
I
you
mean,
mean
it's-
K-Quick, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, that K-Quick guy. What happened to him?
I wonder.
he got paranoid. Ran away.
So you guys ready to talk about some pushes today?
Wait, weren't we just talking about something pushing?
Well, I mean,
Oh,
So
and
the
there's the poop joke, everybody.
the subject for today, I was supposed to host, but I've been in bed all day, nursing a headache and a mouth that just won't cooperate with me. Josie understands.
Oh yeah, totally.
And I didn't do any research for today's episode, so we're kind of gonna wing it. I should probably mention to the captain that one of the boards while we were breaking down the ring winged me in the head pretty hard, and I've had a headache ever since. Does that
a little bit
happen?
of rum and a little bit of ibuprofen will clear that right up.
I can take one of those things.
Or we are in Colorado.
Oh, would you believe that I've never been high?
Yes.
I would, you
Yeah.
nerd. I really would, you nerd.
You nerd.
Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure Josh is high right now.
No, I'm just having a beer.
You guys are doing this sober?
I mean, I never said I was.
Never.
What's the word sober mean? I'm gonna go get my pills.
Damn straight.
I figured you would think that we were all high off our asses too, because of how often we just break out into a giggle fit.
So, do you guys want me
Right?
to try and wing an intro to our subject here?
Go right ahead, Josh.
So, pro wrestling is based on pushes. Sometimes pushes lead to something, but there's a lot of the times where they don't actually lead to anything. They sometimes lead to you getting fired, but that's a whole different story there. So this week we're going to talk about pushes that went nowhere. We're going to talk about all of the former kings of the ring that weren't very noble to begin with. The big men that Vince McMahon thought it was a good idea to strap a rocket to their back because of their size, even though they couldn't cut a promo or really wrestle for all that much. Not talking about you, Great Khali.
Although that kind of did go nowhere, but
It went somewhere. He got a world championship.
wasn't he world champion twice or something?
I actually think he was.
Unreasonably stupid like that.
Yeah, 'cause he lost it to Batista, and then he regained it against Batista again.
This man has held more titles than Roddy Piper, and that upsets me.
Well, I mean, you gotta sell T-shirts in India somehow.
Oh, man. That reminds me, because Josh keeps calling me the T-shirt champ. I still have our little predictions title, and I'm not giving it up.
We're still trying to sell some T-shirts somewhere. It's not really effective.
I mean, I stole it fair and square.
All right.
It's like that time Chris won it, and I kept it in my house for the entirety of Chris's reign, and then just won it back.
I don't think I've ever had it in my 2 title reigns so far.
But anyway, we should probably stop derailing ourselves. We've got a guest. We need to be nice, I guess.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started with one of the biggest ways that a person gets a push that usually ends up failing. Let's talk about King of the Ring.
Okay, this is going to be easy.
Yeah.
All right. Let the captain drop the first name on this one. King Mabel, later known as Viscera.
That was actually what I was going to say too.
Oh my God.
He held one title, and that was the WWE ECW title, and that was about it.
I think so, but it didn't end up until like later in his career when they first gave him that big push back in I think it was like '95 or something like that. He won the King of the Ring out of the blue.
Yeah, 95.
Yeah, 95. He wins it out of the blue, and then nobody wanted to work with the guy because he just wasn't safe. And I mean, like a big one on that is SummerSlam '95. They had him feud with The Undertaker.
I mean, I just feel bad for the enhancement talent that had carried his lard ass out there
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy.
on that platform.
Oh man, that was bad.
So it doesn't even look like he had that. So he had in the WWE, he had the Hardcore Championship once, which honestly shouldn't even count because
Everybody had that.
yeah,
It happened at WrestleMania during the weird ass battle royal that took place all over the goddamn world.
yeah, and then he was also a tag team champion with who was he the championship with? So I can find
I'm
it.
gonna guess somebody from the Ministry of Darkness.
Who, Gangrel?
Midian?
Was it King Mo back from when he was actually Mabel?
I'm looking it up. This is
Cell phones are unreliable. We should have
Val
researched
Venus
this.
when they were in that whole when he was that Big Daddy V always wore the fancy
All the silk costumes.
Yeah, so he won it with Val Venus. Oh no, they challenged for. Okay, never mind. Hang on.
Maybe he just never held a championship.
No, he did.
I'm determined to find it.
His push
I'm
went
certain he at
somewhere.
least picked one up. I mean, he's probably held one in his hand, probably at the concession stand.
do you think that they instated the Hardcore Championship just to get people to shut up who are complaining about getting a push or not getting a push?
Well, I mean, if you attended a WWE event at that time, you got a contact title reign, so...
Really?
Well, I mean, you have to consider the first person who ever held the title in Mankind / Mick Foley.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure that was a way to just start to push Mick Foley.
Well, I mean, that's not the best chance there. There definitely was one unnamed hoe of the Godfathers that held that belt for like a week.
Oh no,
That is true.
I'm sure
And so I did also look it up. Apparently so I was remembering the ECW thing right, but he lost to CM Punk by disqualification. So
What?
yeah.
See, that makes no sense. How do you lose on the Extreme brand by disqualification?
Well, you see, in 2006, Vince McMahon really wanted to anger Paul Heyman. So he took his baby, he shit all over it, and then he gave it to other people to shit on, then tried to give it back to him and said, "Fix this," which made Paul Heyman quit.
Paul Heyman, who couldn't even get himself
Great way of
fired.
explaining it.
Like, yeah, they didn't have a basic understanding as to what ECW actually was in that latter run, which, if you want to talk about a push that goes nowhere, that is a brand push right there. You were coming off of ECW One Night Stand 2, and that was one of the hottest pay-per-views you had, and you were building it from there, and you could not actually go anywhere with it because there was just no understanding as to what people like to begin with. They tried to be extreme at first, and it didn't quite work.
Well, because I mean, look at the product back in the day. They have the big guys that were supposed to be there were like Rob Van Dam and Tommy Dreamer and Sabu, and they both get pulled over in a car and instantly go into legal troubles, which ultimately led to their release.
Tommy.
And Rob Van Dam had to drop both titles, both the spinner belt and the ECW championship.
So I did actually find when Mabel held the tag team titles, and it was for 2 days in 1994. They beat the Quebecers at a house show, and then the Quebecers won it back at a house show 2 days later.
So we're giving this a lot of crap for his awful King of the Ring reign, but that wasn't even the worst one of that decade. I remember portions of his. I have no recollection whatsoever of the entire time frame Billy Gunn held that thing.
I
The
forgot
King of the
Billy
Ring?
Gunn even
That was
had it.
actually who I was going to say.
And I mean, big. God, I keep trying to say Big Cass here. I mean, Billy Gunn is he's a very talented tag team wrestler, and for some reason Vince thought that he could make him a singles star because of his size and his mic work, and little did he know that guy just did not actually have any charisma to carry it on his own.
Yeah, unfortunately. And Billy Gunn is so forgettable for me. We were doing something. We were talking like a week ago, and Josie sent a GIF of Kiwi from WCW, and for some reason I thought that was Billy Gunn, but I couldn't remember Billy Gunn's name. Like, that's how bad it is. I can't even recognize his face, let alone even remember his name.
I mean,
He had a pretty sweet theme song, though.
I remember Chuck and Billy, but that's all I remember of Billy Gunn. But then again, like you guys know, I only started watching wrestling in 2007.
Yeah.
I feel bad for you.
I know, I missed a lot.
I legit feel bad for you.
So other King of the Ring winners in that time frame were Ken Shamrock. That not many people remember that one too much.
Yeah.
Technically, Brock Lesnar held it as a transition to get him a SummerSlam match against The Rock. So I guess that technically was a push that went somewhere.
Well, but Brock Lesnar had a push coming well before he hit King of the Ring. I mean, look at the dude's size and stuff like that.
That King of the Ring reign was just an excuse to give him that match and not have people complain about it. Then,
Asses and seats.
But I
Then
mean,
we have a-
you brought up Ken Shamrock, who I think won, the 98 King of the Ring?
the entire tournament was set up to
yes,
make
98.
it look like The Rock was going to win it, only for Ken Shamrock to win that there. And that very quietly is one of the better rivalries from that time frame that just a lot of people don't bring up as Rock Shamrock.
Yeah,
Well, was I right in the sense that he won the 98 King of the Ring?
you are
He
correct.
did.
You did.
That's my question. The 98 King of the Ring. Okay, well, what other two things happened at the 98 King of the Ring? One thing in specific happened at the 98 King of the Ring.
I'm looking it up right now on the Google machine.
Hell in a Cell, Mankind and the Undertaker.
Oh yeah, they stole that show.
You mean the night that WCW officially lost, correct?
Well, no, the night WCW lost was the infamous poke of doom, because Eric Bischoff walked out and said, verbatim, because Nitro started an hour before Raw did, he said at the start of Nitro that Raw was taped and Mick Foley, Mankind, was going to win the heavyweight championship that night.
Man, that's going to fill some seats.
Yeah.
And everyone changed the channel to see Mankind win. And when they changed back to see the live Nitro taping, they saw Hogan poke Nash in the chest and then pin him for a 3 count, effectively, at the time, rejoining the two NWOs, where you had red and black and white, were now just the NWO.
Yeah.
So
You know,
other King of the Ring winners we have is King Booker, who actually made that work.
Oh yeah,
well,
that honestly just like completely revitalized his character. He was getting very stale, and then the whole King Booker thing, and then the eventual World Heavyweight Championship that he held just made it so good.
William Regal in 2008, which made that work. I believe he was both the king and the commissioner at the time. You had Sheamus, who I think is the king of pushes that go nowhere. Like, there's never been a memorable thing about that man's career.
Well, we should hold up for a second.
Oh, yes,
Captain
back
was
to
trying to talk.
All right. So we were talking about Like, because King Booker ended up losing that title to Triple H. Again, he jobbed to Triple H at a peak in his career.
I mean, that's standard protocol.
God, I can't even remember. Oh, William Regal had won the King of the Ring in 2008, and then within a month, he was released.
Yeah. But he was also Intercontinental Champion at that time.
I believe a wellness violation.
That sounds correct.
Yeah, he won King of the Ring, won the Intercontinental Championship, and then had a wellness policy violation and was released.
He was also the full-time commissioner of Raw at that time while he had those other accolades as well, which is just crazy.
It was a hot storyline. I remember really liking it. Because he was, I think, doing a program with Dolph Ziggler, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just super good.
General manager. I think they referred to them as general managers at that point because it was because of the brand split.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me find that rivalry because that's something I really want to look. Because again, pushes that went nowhere. Dolph Ziggler is another pretty good example of a push that got somewhere and then kind of petered out.
Yeah, I mean,
he gets little mini pushes all the time that always lead to nothing. But
I mean, yeah, just look at him last year.
Technically, didn't he fight for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam?
Yeah, I think he wrestled AJ twice for the title.
It was actually Dean Shambrose.
Oh God! Don't remind me that he was.
Captain, do you like Dean Ambrose?
I actually do like Dean. I really do.
Thank you.
I think he's a little bit eccentric. I like his character, and as opposed to everyone else who really wants to see the Shield reuniting, I'm someone that would really like to see Dean turn heel on Rollins.
I mean, I feel like that's just got to be what's happening, but.
Well, I mean, the Shield's pretty overrated to begin with. All of those guys went and did their best work after they broke up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't think we can be friends anymore.
We're
Friendship over.
Is it because I use the truth?
gonna have our own festival of friendship, and Josie's gonna push us all through the Geratron.
I'm gonna beat you with my own TV.
What he hasn't told you guys is he has like a 1994 tube TV. This is actually gonna hurt.
Really, really bad.
Those are the worst. I mean, when it comes to safety, man, TVs have gotten much safer, much thinner, much lighter.
Right.
Anyway.
And a million times more fragile.
Yes,
Of course.
That's so true.
As Chris can note, he's chucked at least 4 Rudolph chucks through his TV.
The Geratron has seen lots of love.
Tons of love.
The trick is you throw it through there while it's still under warranty, so they give you a new one.
At what point does the electronics store stop selling TVs to the WWE?
Never. That's a lot of money.
Pretty sure as soon as
Never when you show up with just cash in hand. I'll take that. Okay.
But
take
I'm
15
just
of
talking
these.
like the warranties. We broke another one. God damn you, Vince.
Oh, I'm sure he's got lifetime warranties on everything.
Probably.
I'm pretty certain he does. Like when they see the footage, they're like, "We can't warranty this." There's nowhere in the warranty that advises us to replace it for Shawn Michaels' head going through it. No, we can't warranty that.
I'd like to think every time they break a TV or a camera, the warranty was just about to expire, so they just need to use it.
well, I mean, they don't break that stuff near as much as they break rental cars.
Warranty
They
doesn't
keep
cover
getting-
meat sacks going through things.
So you're telling me, Chris, that if I were to throw you through my computer monitor, I would not be covered under my warranty?
Well,
Probably
I don't
not.
think you could throw me through your computer monitor.
You
Maybe
do
like
have
a
little
gentle
noodle
pushing.
arms.
He's tiny hands.
Tiny little baby arms.
Okay. On that note,
Anyway,
speaking of tiny baby arms,
back to the topic at hand here. I'll drop another one here of someone who, and it's not a King of the Ring push. I'll just mention a guy that had a push that was killed, and it wasn't necessarily due to his own fault. Let's not say that the guy had a great run at this point in time. Well, it's another recent one, too. The Miz, back when he was WWE champion.
Oh,
And
yeah.
his push was just completely overshadowed by the feud between The Rock and John.
Well, I mean, he was a prop for that. Down to it was really unfortunate that happened. It sucks he's on Raw now because he won't get another world title run at least while he's on that brand.
Yeah.
I mean,
Can we just talk about one of my favorite stories about that entire match, though, is that when The Miz invited his dad was cheering for John Cena instead of him.
Oh. That's when you know your push is going nowhere.
Oh man,
What a great dad.
It's not even. It's so weird to say that push didn't work because he won a main event at WrestleMania for the WWE title.
Did he?
Yes.
I think The Rock gave it to him. I love The Miz as much as everybody.
Oh, no.
Yeah, everybody.
sure.
Probably more than everybody.
Duffy is listening, and he just gave us an angry face react. Oh, no. I'm sorry I did you wrong.
Just to throw this out here, the reason why nobody likes him is the same reason why people are getting, that they don't like Dolph Ziggler. I mean, no two guys have wrestled more pay-per-view matches on the entire roster.
Yeah, that sounds about
accurate. Straight pay-per-view matches, and it's just people are getting tired of seeing these people week in and week out. Their careers would greatly benefit from having a vacation.
The problem is they get tied into just feuds that never, ever end. Like, how long has this Miz Dean Shambrose been going on for? Like,
Chambros.
It's
Longer than Reigns and Strowman.
at this point, so at least
It
there's
started
that.
on SmackDown, so
it was they were building up to it before WrestleMania. Had John Cena not wanted to marry his girlfriend, like, we would have had that match at WrestleMania this year. And Ziggler has that same issue. Ziggler is just trapped in never-ending feuds.
Yep. You know, Wyatt's in the same way. He just gets pushed from one feud to the next.
Well, so Wyatt
It's not so much that he gets pushed. It's that he gets thrown into these matches where he's basically just named enhancement talent.
I mean, he
Comes
makes
out
anybody look like $1 million.
I mean, he does, and that's why he gets to do what he does. But I mean, we're going to talk about pushes that went nowhere. That man held the WWE title at the beginning of the year, and
For all of 3 weeks?
now what is he doing? He had one of the worst matches at Mania, and now he's wrestling Finn Balor, who's realistically only wrestling Finn Balor so that Balor can bring the demon gimmick back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Which
No, we're talking about Bray Wyatt.
100% on record right now. I am not a big fan of the demon. You know I love Finn Balor, but I just do not care for the demon.
I like the leather jacket more. Like, the pop collar thing is pretty cool.
Yeah, the leather jacket's awesome. The demon would be better if he didn't have those weird hair things. Like I don't know how to describe them other than like tentacle hair things
Oh,
that he wears.
the fake dreadlocks that he has?
But that just makes that look so much worse. If he didn't have that, I'd probably be more into it.
I really enjoy the demon gimmick when he's actually dressing up as, like, different folklore monsters for whatever city they're in. Like when he dressed up as the Jersey Devil, or when he was in England, he dressed up like Jack the Ripper. I thought that shit was great with the demon gimmick. Like, it meshed really well.
So
I mean, we could also add Finn Balor to this list of pushes that went nowhere, and it's not really his fault. He did really badly injure his shoulder, but what would have happened if he did not get injured and we had Finn Balor as Universal Champion instead of Kevin Owens for a while?
He
And
still
then-
would have jobbed out to Goldberg in order to have him face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
I
Yep.
mean, potentially, but think about it. He came back, and what is he doing? What is he doing now? He's wrestling Bray Wyatt.
He's in a
Who's in a
holding,
program with Elias Sampson for 3 weeks.
he's in a holding space right now. From a logical standpoint, I'm a huge. Let me preface this with I'm a huge Finn Balor fan. If Finn Balor defeats Brock Lesnar, it's not actually believable
So
at all.
I'm going to stop you guys. We have the worst manners. We have a guest, and we've been talking over him this whole time.
Look, Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar was something that everyone wanted because it's your classic David versus Goliath. You know, similar to Rey Mysterio versus Kevin Nash, or anyone versus The Big Show, or, you know, Chris Hoff versus a cheeseburger. I mean, everybody wants to see this.
Cheeseburger gets me every time.
Cheeseburger goes over every time.
Every time.
Wait, everybody wants to see that?
Everyone.
I mean, I
wants
see
to
that at work, so I'd rather not see it more often.
It's not a pretty sight.
Oh my god. So yeah, like it go on.
Everyone wants to see David versus Goliath. You don't want to see the little guy beat the giant. Everyone likes the underdog story. Daniel Bryan, for instance. You know, everybody wanted to see Daniel Bryan succeed. Someone wanted to see Daniel Bryan succeed so much he quit the company, according to him.
I mean, it's the same thing with Sami Zayn right now. Everyone wants to see Sami Zayn as champion, but that is unfortunately very far out.
I have no doubt that it's going to happen one day, that he will hold another championship. But at some point, as we were just talking, he's an enhancement talent. I don't know. His push, again, or someone that had a push that was killed by an injury that occurred when he came down the ramp with an entrance. And he threw out his shoulder. Because there was rumor going around he was supposed to win, but he got title from John Cena during the Open Challenge.
Yeah, instead of Kevin Owens.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Kevin never won the title in that. He didn't hold the U.S. title until he went to SmackDown.
Took it from him.
It was ADR.
Took the title from him.
It was
Alberto?
Yeah, it was ADR. That was, speaking of super pointless pushes.
Are you gonna say ADR because I don't?
ADR's U.S. title reign, where he brought Zeb Coulter back out of the woodwork there to be his manager.
Who?
Exactly.
Yeah, I forget his real name with it. He's actually a very huge.
He's an old school guy. That's Dutch Mantel.
Yeah, Dutch Mantel is a huge part of like older wrestling, where he was a booking agent for a while. Like, he's a big deal.
Did we?
No, I know.
He's also the only person currently employed by higher ups in TNA that has a creative bone in his body, but no power to use that. But what you had was you had him come out of the woodwork with that, and really nothing happened with that U.S. title run. It led to a bunch of pre-show matches against Kalisto that no one cared about. And it just went nowhere, where you had... This was the first time in a year that somebody came and beat John Cena clean. And it wasn't... That win wasn't taken back with how he beat like Kevin Owens. He kept that win, and it just led to nothing. It did nothing for him. It did nothing for that title. And the U.S. title has since been trying to recover all of the momentum that John Cena gave it.
Yeah. And it sucks.
Well, in fairness, I really like the Kevin Owens AJ Styles feud up until this last pay-per-view.
Yes. Sorry, I had to cut in with that.
I mean, both those guys are doing their best to make that belt relevant again, which is great. That belt should be relevant.
Well, I mean, the longer you put it on AJ Styles, the better it's going to look, for sure.
Is it, though?
He's above that.
All right, so I have to ask you this, Captain. Are you ever, at any point in professional wrestling, are you ever above a title?
Okay, in fairness, no. In my opinion, and I kind of have an old school opinion on this, the title is what signifies the top guy in the company.
Okay.
Do I believe that there are feuds that can transcend that title? Yes. But do I think anyone is above that title? No. Because in this industry, as the fans will notate, you are judged and defined by how many reigns you have or how long your reign is. Note that they quoted how long CM Punk held the title, or how long Bruno Sammartino held the title, or how many times Ric Flair and John Cena have held the title.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not discounting it, Chris.
I know.
I was on your side on that one.
This is a legitimate question that I've always wanted to ask somebody who's actually in the industry, though. Because, like, we use the term above that a lot when it comes to certain championships.
I just think he's better suited for a world title reign, and they just want to keep him away from that, just to keep Jinder going.
I think Jinder is an experiment in how do we gain fans from overseas.
It's working.
I mean, it's working like gangbusters right now.
The American fans loathe Jinder Mahal, which is wonderful because they have a heel that's working. I mean, case in point, Roman Reigns was supposed to be the face, and they gave him nothing to work with to be a face, and then you have all of these guys feuding him, and it just turned Roman Reigns into the New England Patriots of the WWE.
Oh my God, that's
Who does
a great way
everybody
to
hate?
describe
The Patriots. Who does everybody love? Whoever the hell's beating the Patriots.
I mean, but who really is beating the Patriots? It's the same case with Jinder. Like,
Somebody just went all digital on us.
I think that was me. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's one of those things that people aren't beating Roman Reigns. It's a problem with that, and what they're doing with Jinder Mahal is working great. I mean, even right now, if you ever get the chance to find the really creepy pictures people send Roman Reigns for his birthday from India, it's some crazy stuff. Like he's about as over there as Jinder Mahal is currently, which
Really?
yeah, it's a weird thing to see.
We had this conversation earlier, me and a friend of mine, we were talking about Roman Reigns. And he is one of the hottest guys in the market right now for WWE. And as much as everybody boos him, they're still buying his merchandise.
Yeah.
He at first, I don't think had what it needed to actually have gotten the push that he got, but I will give him this much. Over the last 2 years, that man has earned every single push that he was given by his work rate.
I mean, suffering succotash.
Okay, that line came directly from Vince, from what I heard.
Is it as bad as the Tater Tots promo?
Which also came directly from Vince.
Probably.
That Tater Tots promo is one of the worst things I've ever heard.
Oh my god.
So, moving back to kind of just current wrestlers who kind of don't have that push after getting one. One that's a little bit smaller, I think, is definitely T.J. Perkins.
Ooh, yeah.
He won the Cruiserweight Classic, beating out many fantastic wrestlers. Zack Sabre Jr. was in this. Kota Ibushi was in this.
Grand Metalik.
Yeah, there were so many good names in there, and he held that title after he got it from the Cruiserweight Classic, what, maybe a month and a half?
No, it was like 2 months before they gave it to Brian Kendrick.
And he really, he disappeared until he came back with the heel thing, and even now, even as a heel, he's kind of moved towards kind of a tweener at this point, but still, just, he's not what he was.
Well, I mean, it's because
you would expect to see out of somebody who won a tournament like that. Like, I'm 100% convinced that Kairi Sane is going to win the Mae Young Classic, and she's going to have a fantastic career if she sticks with the WWE. But nothing happened for TJ.
Everybody's going to want to see Kairi feud against Asuka. But at the same time, everyone wanted to see Kota Ibushi win that tournament, and it was originally designed for Kota to win that tournament. But he could not sign a contract with WWE.
Yeah.
He refused.
So isn't
And
go on?
so in PJ Perkins' situation, again, it's not necessarily him. He just wasn't the original guy designed for that spot.
But it was
I'm
too
sure
late
that
to give it to somebody else.
I'm sure they even wanted Sabre Jr. to win that, and he also would not sign a contract.
Yeah, I mean, those are definitely two people from that event that I definitely wanted to see in the E. But I mean, I see them outside now, and it's no problem for me. It'd be nicer to see them, but like Zack Sabre Jr. is kind of that same case of Finn Balor, where he's technically a cruiserweight, but would be much more suited to be on the main roster.
So
And almost the same thing with Ibushi, in my opinion.
let's touch on that for a second. I actually want to ask the captain again about something. This is another thing that I'm personally curious about. We met Johnny Mantell at the Primos event this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He did not have positive things to say about World Wrestling Entertainment. He didn't have anything negative, but he didn't have anything positive either. Is there a kind of stigma from like legends like that who have worked with the E who don't particularly enjoy them? Because I'm assuming you've worked with several legends.
I've worked. I haven't actually personally wrestled with guys that have been in the E. I would honestly say that guys like Sammy Six Guns or Royce Isaacs would probably be, from actually working with guys that have been in the E and stuff like that, or have been there, would probably be better suited to answer this question.
Okay.
But at the same time, you just hear a lot of old vets talk about their time in big leagues, and you get two sides of the coin here. You get guys that had nothing, like say Mick Foley, for instance, a guy that had lived his whole life on living on a hardcore dream. That was really, if you look at his, like I said earlier, we talked about his title wins and stuff like that. He held the title for a whopping 93 days on 3 different occasions. 93 days total.
Hey, Steve, I'm just going to cut in real quick. You got really muffled in that, so half of that did not get cut through.
I'm sorry. Is this a little better now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alrighty. So, anyway, you kind of have two sides to this coin. You have the guys that are really happy with their time there, and you have guys that are not happy with their time there. For instance, Austin Aries is a really current guy that said that he wasn't happy with the way that he was being treated there. He was a guy that from all other promotions that he had been in, like Ring of Honor and TNA, to name the two big ones that I remember seeing him in, that pushed him to the moon, and he kind of proved that he could do that, be with the big guys and do all that stuff, and be a believable heavyweight champion.
And they put
And then you have,
and
and then they put him in the cruiserweight division.
Yep.
And he lost 3 times in a row to Neville and ate bananas.
Well, I mean, he was also a victim of a push that went nowhere because of an injury. If you ever get the chance to go back and watch his older NXT stuff, they were putting a rocket on that guy's back just to get him to that main event picture, and then Shinsuke destroyed his orbital bone at a live show, and that push was done.
Yeah.
So that kind of gave him the stigma that he was injury prone, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It shouldn't have. It was a freak accident right there of just a guy kneeing another guy in the face.
Freak accident.
I mean, it's never harmed anybody.
Yeah, but the point still stands. Josh is right. The biggest thing with Aries is he would have done a lot more in NXT if he didn't get injured right there. And since we're on the subject of that, let's look at some NXT guys that were massive stars that now sit in the main roster with seemingly nothing, you have guys like Bo Dallas, who was NXT champion and is now playing backup for The Miz, or the Ascension, who were these monster heels.
I believe they're
think
still the longest reigning tag team champs in
Yeah,
NXT history.
they're the longest reigning NXT champions in longest reigning tag team champions in NXT history, and like they're doing great stuff right now. But they're in a comedy bit with Tyler Breeze and Fandango.
They're the sidekicks to Breezango at this point in time, that's a fine place to be.
Wait, they're the sidekick. Did I miss something on SmackDown tonight?
Well, Tyler Breeze was trying to get help from them, or not, but they just wanted, what was it? Pie? Yeah, they wanted the pie that he offered them.
More
They
Eddie
came to help for the pie.
All right,
It
I
was not
regret
the
asking.
Rock's pie or the Rock strudel, but
I regret asking. Please, let's carry on.
okay.
We also have, you have Nia Jax, who's been trapped in limbo. I guess, she is part of the title picture, but she still has not done anything from being one of the biggest forces down in NXT. You have Ty Dillinger, who had a chant that was as over as the Yes chants of yesteryear, and he recently jobbed out to
Aiden English.
who is also another victim of that push that went nowhere from there. You had the Vaudevillains, who were a very over tag team in NXT, only to show up on the main roster and do nothing.
I think that just proves that there are things that work on NXT that just won't work on the main roster.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that's been discussed ad nauseum, and it really does hold true. But it's also kind of that same thing that, this character is going to work in Full Sail, where it's a lot smaller venue, but when you put it in front of a crowd where you have tens of thousands of people, it just doesn't work as well.
Well, consider this. In NXT, the people that watch NXT are your hardcore wrestling fans.
Definitely.
Because the hardcore wrestling fans are the people that pay for the network.
Or go to NXT live events.
Yeah. Whereas your casual fans are the people that are changing the channel to USA on Monday and Tuesday nights to watch just the main programming. And they're there for basically the stories. Not so much the wrestling like we are.
They're tooling a program for two different audiences, and they're trying to make gimmicks that work for one audience work for the other.
Basically. And, they're also, and this is a big one that's been discussed ad nauseum, is that they're allowed a lot more freedom in their characters in NXT than they are on the main roster.
That's true. They do have. It's part of their contract that they're able to suggest specific things about themselves.
Because look at Tyler Breeze, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
For his difference between his character on NXT before the call-up and now his character on the main roster, where he's just kind of a joke with Fandango, who was also on NXT and a great character, and then they brought him up to dance with Rosa Mendez.
Yeah, and
I'd dance with him.
There's a bunch of crazy things that happen with Breezango. Like, Tyler Breeze wrestled Jushin Thunder Liger in WWE. I'm pretty sure he's the only person to ever do that.
That is correct.
And Fandango, or Johnny Curtis, whatever you want to call him, beat Chris Jericho at WrestleMania.
His first.
Yeah, his first WrestleMania.
I believe it was his first match, was it not?
It was his debut match on the main roster.
Yeah. Push to the moon. This is exactly what we need to be talking about. That match right there. That concept.
So there's also one of my favorite types of buried pushes, which is the victims of what the internet likes to call lull Cena wins.
You mean the Nexus?
So the entirety of the Nexus.
That we'll get to that one. I've got a whole thing planned for that one. But you do have the Nexus. You have he completely flatlined Zack Ryder's Long Island IC push, which was a homemade one where that had no business, and Cena just stopped it dead in his tracks.
He stopped that one accidentally. He didn't do that one out of spite.
No, he completely flatlined any momentum early Bray Wyatt had, and he also, and this is one of the saddest ones, is he completely destroyed Damian Sandow on his Money in the Bank cash-in, which was pretty much the nail in that coffin right there, which is really unfortunate.
Zach sent a photo to the average guys.
Yeah, it's something irrelevant to this.
You're an
I was
elephant.
You what? So another person that I think definitely deserved a lot more than he got is Carlito.
Oh, he was in Colorado this weekend.
He was?
Yeah, Royce Isaacs tagged with Rey Mysterio against Carlito and... Who else, Captain?
Chavo Guerrero Jr.
That's right.
Huh.
Why wasn't I made aware of this? I would have gone to that.
I shared that like 1,000 times. It was supposed to be at the, National Western Complex?
National Western Complex. It was Hugo's 4th anniversary show.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. That's
'cause the
right.
only
I wasn't able
flyers
to
that-
go to that, right. I couldn't make that one.
Yeah.
I do remember you telling me. I did not know Carlito was going to be there, though. You only told me Rey Mysterio was going to be there.
I only knew Rey Mysterio was booked.
That's fair.
Yeah.
In our heads.
No, in fairness, if Hoff did share the flyer, he was featured on the flyer pretty big too.
Not that you could read it, because they're only ever in Spanish. Anytime I ever saw them, I don't think they released an English language flyer.
Which,
Do you
nothing
think-
against that. I just don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand it when it's spoken, but if I read it, I just don't know what I'm reading.
I wouldn't know what day the event was going to be going on, which things happen.
I just want to know if anyone actually got him to sign an apple.
I would have. I would have
Yeah.
got an apple.
Carlito, sign this.
Were you at the show, Captain?
I was not, unfortunately. I was wrestling down in the Springs. I did talk to a fan that did go to the show though, and had tried to meet stars in the back and stuff like that. I did talk to a guy that had a VIP pass, and it was actually this past Sunday. I had spoken with him, and he said, I guess the line to meet Rey Mysterio was gigantic, and there was like no line to meet anybody else.
Really?
I mean, that honestly doesn't surprise me, because Ray is kind of that classic, like, little guy that everyone wants to meet.
He's still the biggest Latin American star in WWE right now, and he's not been employed by them for like 5 years.
I did see that he's wrestling Johnny Mundo sometime soon, if I remember right, which I'm very excited for, as I enjoy both of those people. Another name that gets brought up is John Morrison. I honestly think he
Go
deserved
on.
a better push.
Go on, Captain.
Yeah. I want to backtrack just a little bit here. Not far. We're just going to go back to Rey Mysterio because we're talking about pushes to the moon, and then the sun melts your wings.
Are we going to talk about how John Cena took his WWE title that he won that night?
No, we're going to talk about the one before that when he won the World Heavyweight title from Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 22.
You mean the first
Triple Threat.
the first of many times that they milked Eddie Guerrero's death for emotional payoff?
Well, yes, they milked Eddie Guerrero's death for that win, and that's how Ray got the push, was because Eddie had passed. That's not a secret. I mean, we all kind of just figure that. But in his push, instead of giving him believable matches, they just booked him against, the Great Khali, the Big Show, the Undertaker, all of these huge guys. And then it becomes less believable that he wins every time. Like, how is Ray going to beat the Great Khali? How is Ray going to beat the Big Show?
By cutting off his legs with a chainsaw.
That would probably work.
I don't know. He still has hands the size of
just
frying
because
pans.
Malcolm solves his problems with a chainsaw doesn't mean Ray has to.
Oh, poor little Rey Mysterio though. Like we were just talking about the time that John Cena was the ruiner of fun. If I'm stealing a quote from What Culture right now, they use that term for Sheamus, but we're gonna use it for John Cena in this particular instance. Because Rey Mysterio won that tournament, and were there a lot of big names in that tournament?
I believe
Let me pull it up. Give me 1 second.
Because it was right after Punk left.
It was literally right after Punk left. It was like a week, and Rey Mysterio held the title for 90 minutes.
Ugh. Because he won it at
Before
the
losing
start of
it
the
to
show.
John Cena.
Yeah. Is that the shortest WWE Championship title reign in history?
No, that's
I-
Yokozuna.
Oh,
No, I asked you this
Yokozuna
question.
comes in at like a minute and 9 seconds.
Yep. My bad.
Roman Reigns held it for it was longer than a minute 9, but it was also freakishly
It's
short.
Yokozuna. All right, so in that it was John Morrison, Dolph Ziggler, R-Truth, The Miz, Rey Mysterio, Ted DiBiase Jr., Kofi Kingston, and Alberto Del Rio.
All people who deserve that. Well,
DiBiase
No,
Jr.
I
not
get-
so much.
yeah, but like,
I'm going to agree with John Cena on this one here, okay? I hate the word deserved. I feel like there are a lot of guys that earn it, but I don't feel like anyone should, honestly deserve to have a title.
that's fair. That's fair. I was just talking about earlier how no one's above a title, so
Well,
I should watch my words, is what I should.
Well, I mean, in life, you don't, there's things that you don't deserve. You don't deserve everything in life. You have to earn everything in life.
I have to work?
No. Yeah,
I
you don't
mean, I
deserve
wouldn't call
anything.
what we do work, Chris.
Ouch.
I mean, maybe you more than me, but I literally just sit in the back and watch Netflix all day.
I believe this.
Yeah.
And I'm fairly certain that was a person I've never met before.
No, I think you've met Zach. Albeit in passing.
Yeah, I feel like we have met, but I don't know.
The captain.
I
the
meet
captain
a
has
lot
come in
of
a
I
store
know
once.
a lot of people. Just ask my girlfriend; she'll tell you that we can't go really anywhere in Colorado without me knowing at least one person at that place.
They call it the 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, and I could pretty much do that at any place. Like I've been to. It was really funny. I was in. Where was it? It was Boston one time, and I was hanging out with a friend who I knew that lived there. I was there for a Magic tournament, and ran into like 2 people that I knew just randomly. And he's like, "Do you just know every single person in the world?" I'm like, "I mean, sometimes it feels like it." Like I'm literally thousands of miles away from where I live, and oh look, there's Alicia over there. What's up?
So do you guys want to talk about the victim of all of the different ways that we've talked about tonight as how pushes just don't go anywhere? We roughly brought him up, but Wade Barrett, who
I got some bad news.
so first off had his career flatlined by John Cena with the Nexus. Had every single time he held the Intercontinental title, which I recall is 5 different occasions, and in some freak injury that had him drop the title for roughly 2 weeks to get where it came off of him, and just never gain momentum again. But he is also the last King of the Ring, and King Bad News is what finally got him to leave the WWE and go to full-time acting. Like, this man has been a victim to every single way that a push can go south.
Yes, he's held the Intercontinental title 5 times.
5 times?
5 times.
5 times.
5 times.
5 times.
5 times.
Oh, I'm glad you guys knew where I was going with that.
Wrong with what?
Oh,
What?
never mind. Don't worry about it.
What?
I'll just shut up. How about that?
What?
That sounds good.
Ouch. I'm your only friend here.
No. There's that guy. Josh. Josh is my friend.
Aha! Also not a T-shirt champ.
Oh no! No more with the T-shirt champ. Okay. All right. We should we should probably stop.
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring this one home. So we've talked about pretty much King of the Rings that have gone nowhere. There's, the classic Buried by John Cena.
Well, I mean, there's one worse than Buried than John Cena that we've not brought up. There's a little bit older here. I'm sure most of us have probably seen a lot of these, but the king of actually burying pushes and just stopping them dead in their tracks is Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah.
All right, we'll finish with this one then.
One of the prime
damn, I had one
examples of
more.
All right, Josie, say yours, and then we'll talk about Hogan, because Hogan is a very big one.
Hogan's a
He
lot.
really is. Actually, I've noticed this in one of today's wrestlers, and her push has gone absolutely nowhere, stopping dead in its tracks, and the fans are realizing it. It's Bayley.
No. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I get it.
Yeah.
Bayley has gone absolutely nowhere since she got pushed up to the WWE. I mean, they quickly gave her a title run, which went nowhere. And then they tried bringing her back, and once again, nowhere.
Well, no,
So-
it went somewhere. She got her own little WrestleMania moment, which was a huge pop.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you have a creative department that doesn't have a basic understanding of what made the character really work.
Yeah.
I actually want you guys to consider this, and it's part of the reason why it failed, is creative. Is creative dropped the ball on Bayley. I want you to consider this. What if, instead of winning the title, the pay-per-view, before WrestleMania, Bayley won it at WrestleMania?
Pinning.
That's what
Charlotte.
I was saying.
That more
Exactly.
impactful.
All of us said that at our pre-Mania show. All of us were saying that it would have been much more impactful if she won it there.
Yes. Because she gets her WrestleMania moment, she wins the title, and she beats Charlotte's pay-per-view streak. It would have been great.
But they did kind of drop the ball on it a little bit. I didn't agree with you guys at first. I do now. Dropping the ball at Fastlane was just a rough way to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you have Charlotte win it through butt fuckery. Retain it through butt fuckery. That's a phrase we really like here a lot, Captain. We love the word butt fuckery, and it's one word. It's not two words merged. It's one word.
For more reasons than what you think.
I mean, I could make a joke about buttfuckery and the fact that he's a pirate, but I'll abstain.
I was going to.
Oh, okay. Chris, make a joke.
No, I'm good. It's the moment's over now. But the best way to do it would have been to.
I don't know. I mean, I'm part of this conversation. We're talking about Bayley and butt fucking. I'm in. I'm ready.
Yeah,
Maybe
the line starts behind me.
Maybe I should set up a date for you and Josie, huh?
I could be a gay pirate. I'm fine with that.
Oh my god.
I'm here for your booty and your treasure.
All right, Josie, we need you to train, and then we're just gonna make you the new Brokeback Billy.
Oh, little does he know he might have accidentally given us the worst possible soundbite for Robo Jose when he can't make the shows.
I'd be a gay pirate.
Now Chris did it too.
Yeah, but I'm always gonna be here. Oh, the two guys that have been here for every episode are Zach and I. Not to discredit you guys.
So, do you guys want to talk about the king?
It's about baby. I love
The
it
king
so
of burying pushes.
Oh yeah. Bulk slogan.
He
No.
is a real American.
He's a
Still
real
love that
asshole
whole
if you
thing.
believe any stories from backstage. The biggest one I remember of him ending a push is Jake Roberts was completely over as a babyface, and they were trying to build up a eventual match between those guys, and Hogan heard the crowd reaction that Jake was getting at a house show and immediately told Vince, "We're not going to do this, brother. Like, call that match off. I'm not doing this." It's because if anybody else other than Hogan got any bit of shine in that company, it was a problem for the Hulkster, and he took.
Case in point, Yokozuna.
He took that.
No. I'm gonna make a big case here, okay? So I want you guys to consider someone that Hogan actually put over. And back in the time, Hogan originally didn't want to put this guy over, but succumbed to company infliction and hearsay and whatnot, and he put over the Ultimate Warrior.
Except Ultimate Warrior.
And in Hogan's defense, he said, "I don't think he's ready for this push," and he ended up being 100% right.
Yeah.
That's not saying that he's right all the time, but he was right in this instance in not pushing Warrior.
Yeah, definitely.
And then he proceeded to take that win back in WCW and completely ruin Goldberg's match against Diamond Dallas Page went over because of him being an idiot about that. He did the same. He did that everywhere he went, which is really quite unfortunate. And it might be just the way the business worked in the 80s. I don't know.
Well, if I want to switch focus over WCW, Hogan had creative control over his character and his contract.
Yeah.
So did Hall, so did Nash. So when they brought in guys, they started having control over the company. Not just so much people wish I could just go with whatever they had. I mean, just yesterday we were talking about a conspiracy theory in wrestling is that the NWO was sent to kill WCW, right?
Yeah, I've definitely heard that theory.
Your voice is muffled again, by the way.
So you're saying that there's a conspiracy theory that yeah. So you're saying there's a conspiracy theory that the NWO was brought into WCW to kill it.
Yes. See, here's my issue with that conspiracy, and that conspiracy is that at a point in time, everybody there was getting big money contracts, and because they had such creative control over their characters, and even in the sense the company as a whole, why would they kill something where they're just making money hand over fist?
Plus, in their defense at that time frame, WCW was dead in the water until that NWO angle or the NWO angle popped up.
Because, in honesty, Hogan's heel turn was one of the most amazing things to ever happen in as far as storylines go in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And it put them on the map, and so you had that going on. And even the story with that is you hear stuff all the time about how Sting was the other guy, but which you can believe that if you want to, but the other ones that you hear all the time is that the day of that event, Hogan walked into Bischoff's office and told him, "It's going to be me. I'm going to be the third guy."
Yeah. He told Bischoff over the phone.
Be damned whoever else they had scheduled to win there to be the third guy in that slot. Hogan wasn't going to let somebody else get any luster at that point in time. It was still the Hulk Hogan show in his brain, and to a point, he was correct. I mean, he was what legitimately made WCW a company at that point in time. Before that, they were a regional promotion, and he very much made them a national or something that could be done nationally. Don't get me wrong, that's not a bash at anything that Ric Flair was doing at the time, but it just wasn't viewed as what it was until Hogan was signed.
Well, they consider this. Since you're going to talk about Hogan killing someone's push or something killing someone's push, at that time, when we fast forward time a little bit here, about 2 years to Starrcade '97, your main event is Hulk Hogan versus Sting with Bret Hart as a special guest referee. The whole idea of the match concept was supposed to be that Nick Patrick was supposed to do a fast count on Sting because Nick Patrick was a referee that was supposedly hired by the NWO. He was supposed to do a fast count on Sting, causing Hogan to win, and then Brett was supposed to come down and restart the match.
Yeah,
And what
and,
ended up happening,
God, I know
what
the
ended up
story.
happening,
Continue.
and what ended up happening is that Nick Patrick did a normal 3 count.
They
And
still
was
kept the
supposed-
angle going, which was completely insane.
Well, and the supposed theory to this, because it's probably never going to be confirmed or denied, the supposed theory to this is that Hogan told Nick Patrick backstage to do a normal count.
Yeah, effectively.
Killing Sting. And
Bret Hart
at the same time.
Yeah. Ruining Bret Hart's debut, and it did both those things. And I'm sure Hogan was the primary person behind the idea of doing the finger poke of doom. Don't get me wrong, he's not the one who said, let's give away WWE's results. But he's probably the guy who was like, yeah, this seems like a great angle as to how to bring these two back. And that finger poke of doom harmed Goldberg's career, who was one of the biggest up-and-comers that they had there. He was about the only thing that was really working at that time.
Well, okay. Consider this. That night was supposed to be a match between Goldberg and Hogan to determine number 1 contendership for Kevin Nash's heavyweight title, who he had just won off of Goldberg the night before.
So it was actually supposed to be a huge main event.
Yes.
It was supposed to be a huge main event, and they switched it last minute because Nash wanted to change it. Because Hogan and Nash wanted to change it, they changed it to the finger poke of doom.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think the only thing more awkward than the whole finger poke of doom thing is if you watch Kevin Nash's entrance for that night, he probably had like 2.5 to 3 minutes of pyro, of him just standing there and nothing but pyro. It was kind of awkward. Like, he even just started looking around, wondering when it was going to end.
Are you watching the video right now?
No, I actually saw the video earlier today. That's why I chimed in with that.
Oh, sorry. I was scrolling through Facebook and something just came up that completely reminded me of everything that we're doing. And
First off,
where
tell me what
was
the
it?
post was on Facebook, and then tell me what it reminded you of.
No,
Was it Gay Pirates? It was Gay Pirates, wasn't it?
was not. Fuck, what is
Well,
it?
now I'm reminded of that.
Hang on. I got to pull this up because I can't remember the names in this, but I believe so. It was who was it? It might have been CZW is where it was, but
Oh, the no-sell table
yeah,
that is just dividing the IWC right now.
Is that
so
a thing that recently happened?
yeah, it was like maybe a couple days ago.
So they did a spot where they went through a table.
I'll send you the gif of it happening because
Yeah,
it literally just gets right back.
yeah. He went through a table coming off of a ladder, which
Like something that would actually just kill a normal man and
yeah,
just gets right back up.
Oh,
Which-
a pile
Completely
driver.
no sells it. Completely no sells it.
Yep.
it's bad. And if not for the beautiful Joey Ryan Mick Foley clip coming out this week and just that pissing off Jim Cornette, which like really what doesn't piss off Jim Cornette?
Our show hasn't pissed off Jim Cornette yet.
No, but I mean like
Yet.
Well, if Josh is going to say anything positive about that spot, then it will.
I think at this point in time, Joey Ryan's penis is the most powerful being in wrestling, regardless of where you were or where you are. I mean, if Joey Ryan's penis was in the WWE at any point in time, let's say it was hired in like 2003, the Undertaker's streak would have ended in 2003 too. Joey Ryan's extremely powerful dong.
On
What
that
did this show
note,
become?
In
We got
fact,
Joey Ryan's penis. We got Gay Pirates. What happened?
well, on that note, I have a final question for our guest. 2 final questions for our guest.
Oh,
You with me, Captain?
I am. I'm here.
Question 1. if you were getting a major push, but it had to be killed, your push had to just be killed, who would you want to kill your push? I know it's a weird question, but it fits the subject.
No, I need just a little bit more. Or are we talking like, have I made it? Am I on television, or
You're on
am
TV.
Or am I...
You're on Monday Night Raw. You're being groomed to be the next Universal Champion, but they want to cut the legs out from under you. Who is it gonna be?
I would have to say, as much as I don't like the guy for reasons I'm not going to go into in this episode, I'm going to go with Brock Lesnar.
Oh.
There's some legitimacy to getting squashed by that guy.
Yeah.
So Brock Lesnar is the guy you want your push to be killed by.
If I had a choice, I'd say Brock Lesnar or even John Cena.
Well, because
I would be okay.
Then you're bulletproof.
Yeah.
And then the second question. Because you're the guest tonight, and because we appreciate you being here, what should our topic be next week?
Let's see. Last week you had betrayals.
That's correct.
This week you had pushes that had no success. How about next week you talk about failed factions?
Ooh.
I could get behind
Can
that.
you give us an example just so that our viewers know what's going to go into that?
Alrighty. So when you talk about like failed factions, like what's one that comes to mind right away? Well, what about the Mexicools, where they brought in Psychosis, Juventud Guerrera, and Super Crazy, and they drove around lawnmowers and stuff like that to just, stereotype and make fun of stereotypes and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, after a few months, 2 guys are gone, and only Super Crazy remains.
Well, I mean, by all means, those 3 were 3 of the most talented Latin stars in the entire world at that time, which is crazy that did not somehow find a way to work.
All right. So.
All right. I have one last question
Ooh.
for our guest before he leaves.
Is it could you pin Joey Ryan's penis?
No one could do that, okay?
Wait, hold on. Somebody went on robot voice, and I didn't hear the full question.
So he asked if you could pin Joey Ryan's penis, but that is not my question, because we all know the answer is no.
Make sure to hook the dick. Hook the dick!
Oh, man, wow, Dick Kick City.
I was going to say, since you were so gracious to come on our show, is there anything that you want to plug for yourself? Any upcoming
For
shows?
myself, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to plug 2 here. I'm going to plug my home first. I'm going to plug Primo's. Next show is September 10th. If I remember correctly, September is always our biggest event of the year. It's slated to the death match. So you're going to get all of the, a lot of the big name deathmatch guys on the indie circuit. My personal favorite is JD Horror. Or there's guys like Adam Bueller and Mosh Pit Mike, Chewy Martinez. It's always one hell of a show to come to, and Primo's champion Manny Lemons is probably going to be there as well. And then I also have a show on September 16th down in Colorado Springs for CSW. Moving from tag team with Johnny Crash called the Pirate Punks. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be in action down there. And other than that, I mean, if you're looking to train to be a professional wrestler, great place to start is, or a great place to be, is the Primo's Butcher Shop at Extreme Gym 24/7. Seriously, guys, get in contact with Extreme 24/7, or I am the provider, and start that journey, guys. Let me tell you, if you're really looking forward to it, it is well worth it.
Do you have anywhere where people can find any of this information or any of your future bookings? Say they're listening to this episode a year and a half down the road.
I do have a Facebook page, the Dread Captain Stevens, where I post all of my upcoming show dates and stuff like that. I post matches in case you missed them and they get taped. You can also find Primos Pro Wrestling on Facebook, or there's primosprowrestling.com. There's also Colorado Springs Wrestling and coloradospringswrestling.com, which you can also find them on Twitter under CSW719. And Primos is also on Twitter. That's pretty much my basic knowledge of where to find all of this information. Also check into Extreme Gym 24/7. Also on Facebook.
Thanks so much to our guest, Colorado Springs and Primo's Pro Wrestling star, the Dread Captain Stevens, and thanks out to those of you listening to us live on Facebook.com/AverageGuysPro and on Twitch.tv/AverageGuysPodcast. If you'd like to support the show, check out Patreon.com/AverageGuys. Don't forget to like and follow us at AverageGuysCO on Twitter. Most importantly, thank you for listening. This is Hoff signing off for Zach, Josh, and Jose. We hope you have an average night.